made out of fontina cheese, and we coat them. Make sure all the gnocchis are coated. We put a little bit of our red sauce on it, our tomato sauce, and we put some fresh Reggiano, Parmesan Reggiano right on it, and then we stick it under the broiler for a couple of minutes until it's nice and, you know, nice and golden. So.
Hi everyone, I'm Michelle DeLuca from the Niagara Gazette. We're outside the Tecla Bistro in Sanborn, New York, and we're gonna go inside with Chef Joe Bellardi and learn how to make his fabulous homemade gnocchis. Let's go. So hi Joe.
Hello Michelle, how are you?
This place is great.
Thank you very much.
Well, let's go inside and take a quick look at this beautiful new restaurant. So you named it Tecla after your grandmother.
Yes, my grandmother and my one-year-old daughter is also named Tecla. We named her after my grandmother.
It's a beautiful name. What does it mean?
I believe it means glory of God.
Oh, that's beautiful. You should look that up, Joe. But this whole room is filled with pictures of your family.
Yes.
Your grandmother when she was a little girl.
So that was my grandmother when she was about 6 or 7 years
Oh
old.
my gosh, and your grandmother with her mother.
Yes.
And then over here we've got your grandmother and...
My grandfather is, my grandmother was 17 and my grandfather was 19. It was right after they got engaged.
This is a beautiful picture of you on your daughter's baptism.
Yep.
And with your grandmother, both your daughter and your grandmother named Tecla, and this is your boy Tristan.
Mm-hmm.
And this is your beautiful restaurant that you own with your partner.
Yes.
And her name is Alicia.
Yes.
I read that you're really modeling your cooking after your grandmother.
Of course, and yeah, that's the major, you know, that's the inspiration right there. You know, everything is very simple, and I want it to feel like you're coming to your grandmother's house or somebody, you know, in your family on Sunday dinner, and you know, and sit down, have a good meal, and you just talk, and you know, that's what everything to me is sitting down and being with people you love and having a good time. And this is why we do that. Everything we do is homemade. From the pastas, we make the pastas every day, the fettuccine and the spaghetti. I make the gnocchis personally every single day. I love going out to tables, talking to them, looking at their empty plate. That does it to me.
So you're going to take us and show us how to make your famous homemade gnocchi.
I am.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
So we're going to make gnocchi. Let's start from the very beginning. How does it work?
All right, so we baked off about 8 40-count potatoes right now.
You baked them in the oven?
Yes. Bake them in the oven, throw a little bit of salt on them, kind of get the moisture out, dry them. When they're done, they took about 45 minutes. We rice them through a ricer. If you don't have a ricer, you can use just a bowl, crush them up, make sure they're cooked.
Why do you bake them instead of boil them?
I like to bake them because they draw out a lot of the moisture.
Okay, so what did you put in there?
So we put a little bit of salt.
How much would you say?
Probably about 2 or 3 tablespoons of salt. We're gonna do some 00 flour.
Did you say about 8 cups of
about
potato?
8 cups, yeah. I can't really give you a set recipe
That's
right now.
okay. That's how my mother cooked.
Because I don't ever have a set recipe.
That's awesome.
So it's kind of just to feel what we do.
So I'm going to say that looked like 8 cups of potatoes and about 2 cups of flour, maybe 4.
Yeah. I'd say about a little over 4 cups, but
okay,
you know, we're
good.
still going to use this. I actually like to mix the flour with the potatoes before we add anything else. So I kind of like to incorporate it. You don't have to do anything crazy, but I like to incorporate that. Then after I do that, I'll add my eggs. So about 8 potatoes, I'll add 2 eggs.
2 eggs for 8 potatoes.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, they're not too many ingredients at all. It's just kind of, you really can't overwork anything.
Oh, so you don't want to overwork.
You don't want to overwork it, so you don't want to overwork that gluten. And that's where you get, the gnocchis might look good, but they'll be really heavy.
Heavy.
This
you
is
want
for a
yours,
lighter one. This
you
is
want
for lighter.
feather light
Yep.
gnocchi.
And then we'll kind of take our semolina, probably about 2 cups right here.
You just put in what,
We put in about 2 to 3 cups of semolina right now.
Mm-hmm.
Semolina, you could just, and if you don't have semolina, you can use some cornmeal.
cornmeal? So
Yep.
it's pretty much ground corn.
Yep. And then we gotta give it a nice little mix. Make sure everything's incorporated so it's not too sloppy when you put it on the table.
Okay.
So we'll kind of empty that right on the table. Like you kind of want to incorporate everything. I do about you know, a couple half turns of kneading this in there.
And you're pretty much done?
And yeah, you just don't want to go, you never want to do it in the mixer. You're going to release too much gluten.
Got it.
And
You don't want to release the gluten.
But also you want to mix it and make sure everything's incorporated. That's pretty much it. I like to just go back, let this rest. Obviously the hands are a mess. Wash our hands and then we'll start rolling them.
Great.
So we're back. We're going to start rolling our gnocchis right now. So clear our table, wash our hands, get everything ready. Our dough's right here. A little bit. We're just going to need a little bit of flour. This we can use all-purpose flour. In case of the double zero is a little bit expensive, but I use a little bit all-purpose.
Got it.
It's just to coat them so they don't stick together. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of the dough right here. I kind of just put it in a ball, and then we're just going to real simple. Just roll them out. And obviously for a restaurant setting where, you know, you kind of want to get them even, but honestly, sometimes I like not being too uniform. You know, this is a rustic feel. It doesn't take that long. You can actually, to help you, you can actually put it in a ball this size and kind of cut your way down. And then what I do is just kind of, you're just putting that together like almost, and then you're going to just roll it. And the whole premise is this: roll it with the insides of your fingers right here, right underneath your knuckle. Not your palm, or you can, and then you can to shape them or to, and then say something happens where you gotta go, you have this coming like that. Just kind of what I do is just to cut it off where you want it.
Again.
And kind of you can really shape it any way you want.
What's the secret in shaping?
It's just don't overdo it. Like I said, cut it.
Yeah.
Cut it to the lengths you want and kind of just fold it over. And we do fairly big gnocchis here, so what I'm going to do is just coat that. We're going to give that a nice couple more.
Is this your grandmother's recipe, or did you learn this in cooking school?
This one is kind of a mixture of both, right?
Yeah.
This was the premises of my grandmother. I believe that, you know, for the restaurant, we'll try to cut those ends off, and then we'll just go down.
Oh, you cut the ends off because it's like Italian bread.
Yep. And then we'll just incorporate that back in the dough.
Got it.
But, you know, for a restaurant setting, you want everything to be uniform.
And to look as pretty as possible. You're going to boil them
so
first?
So we're going to blanch them. We blanch them in simmering water. Always blanch gnocchis in simmering. You don't want a hard boil like a pasta.
Simmering water.
Yep. Because they're essentially, it's just a gnocchi is an Italian dumpling. It's just a potato dumpling.
That's a good way to look at it.
That's what gnocchi, I believe that's what gnocchi means, I think.
So you blanch them, then you bake them, you cover them when you're baking them?
We make a fontina cream, which is pretty much just a cheese sauce made out of fontina cheese. And we coat them, make sure all the gnocchis are coated. We put a little bit of our red sauce on it, our tomato sauce, and we put some fresh Reggiano, Parmesan Reggiano right on it. And then we stick it under the broiler for a couple of minutes until it's nice and, you know, nice and golden, so it kind of almost resembles the top of a pizza.
Sounds delicious. Next up, take a look at how history is made. Watch as our sister paper, the Lockport Union Sun and Journal, goes to press in its 200th year of serving Lockport area readers.
Hi, my name is Mary Dreyer, and you're looking at the cover of the Lockport Union Sun and Journal, and this comes out tomorrow. It's the Saturday-Sunday weekend paper. Matt puts the stories on a budget for us, and I take the stories that he gives us and wrap the stories around the ads that come up. After we go through all the pages and put all the stories on as they come in, they get sent to Mike Clem, and he marries the pages with the ads.
My name is Mike Clem. I'm in charge of the pre-press over here. I take the pages that Mary Dreyer just did from the newsroom, and I place it in another document that's got the ads on it, and I put the two of them together, and then I write a high-res PDF file of it. Which, after I write the file, I'm going to take a look at it, make sure everything looks okay, double check the dates and the folios of the page numbers, and make sure that all the stories end, that it doesn't end in the middle of a sentence. And then I take that PDF and I place it in the server, and then it goes over to the plate room, and then they make the plates.
There's plates in the queue here that were sent by Mike in the other room. And they show up here. You put the plates in. Take the raw plate. We cover them so they don't get exposed to light. Put that in the computer to plate machine. Let it go and it does its thing. It goes through here where it's burned onto the image is burned onto the plate. Then it goes into here where it's washed. So all the excess of the material is washed off the plate, and then the end result is the image on the plate. Everything else has been washed off. And that's about it. Then you crimp it, and it's ready to go to press.
Got to line this up. Center of the page. This is the back page. This is the front page, and it prints out on the web. Load it into the press. Then you got to lock it down. Make sure it lines up. And that's what we do.
Alright, we're getting ready to start up. All set, Jeff? Good. Full speed ahead.
Hi, my name's Mark. I'm the operator in the mailroom. These jackets just came off the press. They'll go into the main head here. And tonight we'll have 3 inserts inside this lockboard jacket. They'll go inside here. And then as the machine runs down the line at the different stations, the inserts will drop down in the open jacket, and then they'll go to counting station and then strapped and out to the garage for the carriers to pick them up. That's about it.
You're watching Niagara Gazette TV. Next up, Take a walk down Main Street in Niagara Falls with Mayor Robert Rustino as he talks about plans to bring the struggling business strip back to life. Hello everyone, I'm Michelle DeLuca from the Niagara Gazette. With me, of course, is Mayor Robert Rustino, Mayor of Niagara Falls, and we're taking a walk down Main Street today to talk about the wonderful things that are going to happen here over the next few years.
Yep, it's going to be exciting.
It is going to be exciting, Mayor. Tell me a little bit about your background in Niagara Falls. You're born and raised here, and this was your Main Street when you were a child. What are your feelings about it?
So the reality is, the Main Street of my childhood really was an typical American Main Street. At Christmas time, the place was lit up with decorations spanning across the streets. Every one of the department stores or clothing stores on the streets decorated in their windows to celebrate the season. It was, I suppose it was sort of like a Hallmark movie behind the camera.
So we're at the bookstore, which is a long-standing institution, the Book Corner.
Yeah.
I remember meeting Jeff, the owner, years ago when I first started writing in Niagara Falls. He literally was down here pretty much by himself.
Yeah, lonely soul, still sticking it out,
Yes.
and God bless him for doing that.
It's an extraordinary place, and it's part of the master plan, keeping
It
this
is.
place and
It
fortifying
is.
it.
These are the kinds of things that we want to reinvent and create down here, are those kinds of unique businesses that give. I always like the eclectic feel of a Main Street, the fact that anything can happen on Main Street,
Yes.
and that's what we want to recreate down here. By the way, you see in the background that beautiful building? Can't wait. People in Niagara
Which
Falls
one?
will be cheering.
Tell me, which
Behind
one?
us is the Jens building.
Oh, the Jens
Again,
building, right.
It is the centerpiece of this Main Street development.
People in Niagara Falls will be cheering
Yes,
when
they
that
will.
building comes back. But when you look across the street from police headquarters,
Yes.
where we are now, there are all kinds of wonderful old buildings. And
Yeah.
I know that there's an entire, the city's brought in experts on historical preservation tax credits to
Yep.
make it more alluring
Yep.
to invest on this
Yes.
street. So they've created kind of a design of what they think could occur in these buildings. Am I correct in stating it that way?
Absolutely, and we've also had the help of some of our educational institutions, whether it's the folks at Niagara have a footprint here, and they've been very much involved. Folks from the UB Regional Institute have provided some guidance and some assistance in terms of our direction and planning. So we've had some people really take a long, hard look at how you can take a street like Main Street that has a great historic feel and reinvent it. The governor's continued commitment to Niagara Falls is very much appreciated. The Downtown Revitalization Initiative and the award of $10 million to help us develop Main Street certainly gives a shot in the arm to those businesses that also want to invest here. The idea being that this $10 million acts as seed money to get additional funding. You know, one of the things that we're also looking at is you've got this large green space that we're standing next to here in front of the municipal complex. And it's really the only green space. If you take a look at Main Street from Niagara Street all the way to where we started on Linwood, it's really the only green space out here. The plan is to not remove the green space, but to make it more inviting. No plan's perfect, and I don't want to fool folks into thinking that, we've got the recipe for a perfect plan. But I think what we've done is we've tried to recognize there's a whole lot of voices that need to be a part of the discussion. And to the extent that we can include those voices into the conversation and try to make the improvements well-rounded, we think that while there may still be those who are not happy, in the main, the majority of folks will appreciate the work that we've done.
I like it. So what do you see in the timetable?
Well, nothing ever works as fast as I'd like it. I tend to be extremely impatient. But I'm suspecting that at least over the next 2 or 3 years, you're going to see some significant change here on Main Street. I know that the developers at Blue Cardinal, they have a phased-in approach to their plans. And so I'm expecting, the pandemic put back a lot of the development financing that would have ordinarily been in place, was impacted by the uncertainty about how these things would bounce back post-pandemic. Banking institutions, the last time they had to deal with something like this was 100 years ago, so there really wasn't any playbook for it. And so they became very, very cautious and conservative. So a lot of the projects, not just here, but even in our downtown, our hospitality sector, they just got frozen out. And so now everyone's picking up steam again, and we're hoping that not only here, but also in the hospitality corridor near the falls, these projects will pick up.
What I wanted to talk about was also the most important factor, I think, of this particular neighborhood is the train station and our connection eventually to Canada, which links us to the Greater Toronto area and which will allow not only us to, and our people to cross the border for jobs in Toronto, because it'd be so easy to get there, but Toronto people to come to Niagara Falls and Western New York and add to our job expertise and creativity, and that's thrilling.
It's very exciting. I know that I've had the opportunity to have a conversation about this topic, and they've been here to advance it, both our Congressmember Higgins as well as Senator Schumer, the Majority Leader. They understand the importance of expanding that opportunity. With the GO train now having a spur coming straight into Niagara Falls, Ontario, the idea that someone in downtown Toronto can simply jump on the GO train and find themselves in Niagara Falls, Ontario, and then with a little bit more of a push, find themselves coming across not only to this portion of Niagara Falls, but maybe even onto our airport, gives us really an opportunity to tap into an enormous Southern Ontario market. You know, with all of the information and the financing that's in place now and the plans that are in place, I believe we're on the precipice of getting Main Street back to a vibrant and exciting place. I recognize that the Main Street of my childhood is not going to be recreated, but that's okay. As long as we recreate a Main Street, you know, that has the same vibrancy, that has that same kind of feel that it's the place you want to be, then we win.
I like that. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for...
Good morning. My name is Caroline Knight. Welcome to our group. I make a veterans quilt each year. This is the beginning of it.
I'm Joe McDougall, and I quilt because I enjoy the whole process of it. The pattern, picking the fabric, sewing, the whole thing.
Peggy Nash. I don't quilt in the summer because I garden, and I have a bag of basil. If anybody would like it, I'll be happy to share it with you.
Hi, I'm Mary Nugent, and I like quilting because, first of all, I love the people that quilt. They're just fabulous. And I love the Zen art of working and sewing. I just get into it, and it's just fun. Thank you.
I'm Kathy Zazek, and I've been sewing since I was in 6th grade. And this is one of my COVID quilts. I made it during COVID.
That's beautiful.
I'm Nancy Krause. I'm a third-generation quilter, and I quilt partly because to continue the legacy in my family, and because I also love the entire process. I love choosing the fabrics and the creativity involved.
Thank you.
I'm Judy Klusek. I like to quilt, and I love to buy fabric.
I'm Janet Penrose. I like the different things that you can do with quilting. There are so many things that you can make, and you just don't have to make quilts. Artwork, pillowcases.
I'm Janine Ellis, and I love quilting because it's a toss-up between the friendship and the fabric, and the colors. The colors bring life into your own life, so I enjoy that.
Oh, that's perfect.
I'm Joan Forbach. I started quilting about 8 years ago because I wanted a quilt for my bed and I couldn't find one in the store. And I said, I'm going to make one. And somebody at my church invited me to come to this group where the people here are fantastic helpers, friends, and just all around great people.
That's awesome.
I've been sewing like forever.
What is your name?
Judy McNally. And it started with my grandma. She taught me. And this is something that I just recently finished. It's just a little lap quilt.
Hi, I'm Mary Kay Smith, and we had us last time we met, our very first quilt. So I didn't bring it, but I brought it this time. This is my very first quilt.
Hi, I'm Donna Clark, and this is a piece I've been working on.
Once a week you get a new pattern, and I just enjoy doing it in the colors.
That's beautiful. Hi.
Hi, I'm Patty DePonso. I started quilting 25 years ago when I gave up smoking. And I liked these quilts when I made them, but then after Nancy did her magic, I fell in love with them.
Oh, what kind of magic was that?
She did the quilting.
Oh, the fancy quilting.
Yeah.
Nancy, yes.
Yeah, she did this.
Oh, wow.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Kepi. I'm probably one of the most recent members, and I'm not really a quilter, but I'm a sewer. And I'm very welcomed by the group, and I come for inspiration and enjoy my time with fellowship with everyone.
That's awesome. So even if you're not necessarily a quilter yet, right?
Hi, and I'm Sue Young. I don't do large quilts. I make lap quilts for hospice.
Oh.
I can't manage a big one. But I did bring the one that my grandma taught me to hand quilt when I was probably about 8 or 9 years old. And if it wasn't right, I had to pick it out and start over to make sure that it was quilted right.
Wow.
She had the big quilting sticks that they wound the quilt up on, and all the ladies sat around it and had a corner that they quilted.
Oh.
The aunties.
The aunties. That's great.
So that's an old one.
I'm Phyllis Eyeball, and I've been quilting for a long time. And this quilt is the first quilt I ever made. And I made it for my sister who was going to have a baby. I was a senior in high school.
Wow.
And I made it in 1946.
Beautiful. That is amazing.
Next week I'll be 93 years old. And I'm still quilting because it gives me something to do and something to look forward to every day.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
My name's Marie Marshall, and I literally fell into quilting.
How is that?
I fell into the building when I went for my first meeting. And I met a good friend, Judy McNally, and she makes beautiful purses. I don't know if you brought one today.
Yes.
Did you?
Bring your purse.
She didn't show the purse.
Let's see the purse.
Dear.
And the bracelet.
With a cute statement on it. Oh, no, this one.
Oh, wow, that's so neat. Thank you for showing us
I
that.
have to thank Marie. She's the one that brought me into the group.
Aw.
My husband had just had very serious surgery, and she knew I needed a break, change of scenery.
That's beautiful.
And I love her dearly, and we've all been
And that's what you
friends
guys
and
do for each other. That's wonderful.
I have to say that, Caroline, that is one of the best things about this group is the encouragement. And you have all these friends. It's just wonderful.
It is.
We meet up in the fabric stores occasionally, and
That's wonderful. So everyone's welcome. You inviting new members?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for watching this edition of Niagara Gazette TV. I'm Michelle DeLuca. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.